The Freedom of Information request submitted to the Financial Partnerships Unit regarding North Ayrshire Council's Schools PPP project produced a number of documents, mostly general correspondence between civil servants and council officials. However, one particular document stood out. This was an email exchange dated July the 25th, 2005, between Jane Broderick, at the time a senior research officer within the Scottish Executive's Public Service Performance and Improvement Division, and Mr Sandy Rosey, who back then was a senior official in the Financial Partnerships Unit. Ms Broderick referred to an article that had appeared in the previous day's Sunday Herald newspaper, in which a member of the Scottish Parliament had raised concerns over North Ayrshire Council's PPP project and the bids submitted for the contract, particularly the one from the newly formed Comprehensive Estate Services. Ms Broderick's email informed Mr Rosey that another civil servant was to meet the next day with Mr Ian Snodgrass, then Chief Executive of North Ayrshire Council, and Ms Broderick asked, "Can you please advise whether there is anything else she needs to know? Any significant sensitivities or lines to take?" In response, Sandy Rosey told Ms Broderick that the Financial Partnerships Unit was handling business on this case, and so his advice to the civil servant due to meet with the Chief Executive of North Ayrshire Council was, "The less said to the Council, the better." Just to be clear, the exclamation mark at the end of that sentence was Mr Rosey's, not ours. He was making absolutely clear that as little information as possible should be made available to North Ayrshire Council about the local authority's own multi-million-pound PPP deal. There is one other significant point in relation to this issue. In Jane Broderick's email to Sandy Rosey, she names the civil servant who was to meet with the Chief Executive of North Ayrshire Council and who was told, "The less said to the Council the better." The then middle-ranking civil servant was named as Lesley Evens. Since then, Lesley Evens has advanced her career in the civil service. In fact, she is now the head of the civil service in Scotland and permanent secretary to the Scottish Government. There is one other very important issue we need to look at regarding the scandal that is the North Ayrshire Council Schools PPP project. We know the Labour-run council signed up to a PPP contract to build and maintain 4 schools. We also know the actual cost of building the schools was around £80 million, with a 30-year maintenance contract adding a further £300 million to the taxpayers' bill. But we heard earlier from independent councillor Ronnie McNichol that the estimated total cost to North Ayrshire taxpayers is now around £390 million, and it could be even higher by the time the contract ends in 2038. Currently, North Ayrshire Council is paying just over £1 million every month to service its PPP debt. So, who does this money go to? If you ask North Ayrshire Council who they pay the £1 million a month to, they'll tell you it goes to a company called PPP Services North Ayrshire Limited, and that would be correct. PPP Services North Ayrshire Limited does receive £1 million a month from North Ayrshire Council, but the company doesn't keep the money. In fact, PPP Services North Ayrshire Limited was set up specifically to receive payments and pass them on to the companies that actually own the very lucrative North Ayrshire PPP contract. Ownership of PPP contracts tends to change in what are known as secondary markets. These contracts make a lot of money for shareholders, so they're valuable commodities. At one time, part of the North Ayrshire PPP contract was owned by a Spanish construction company whose top official was also the president of European football giants Real Madrid. Now, at the time of making this film, the North Ayrshire Council Schools PPP contract has 3 shareholders. These are the companies that actually receive the £1 million a month from North Ayrshire taxpayers. 20% of the contract is owned by NordLB, which is Norddeutsche Landesbank. So why would a German bank want to own shares in 4 North Ayrshire schools? Well, the answer to that question is very straightforward. They make a lot of money from it. In addition, HICL Infrastructure owns 25.5% of the North Ayrshire PPP contract, and the largest current shareholder is 3i BIFM Limited with 54.5%. You may remember the sensational revelations a few years ago when the Panama Papers were made public. These were documents leaked from a company called Mossack Fonseca, a Panama-based legal firm and provider of corporate services. The Panama Papers revealed 11.5 million documents detailing 214,488 offshore entities used by companies to minimise or avoid paying taxes in the countries in which they actually do business. The parent organisations of HICL and 3i are currently amongst the top offshore listed infrastructure funds. Between 2011 and 2017, 3i Infrastructure plc declared profits of £911.8 million but paid just £700,000 in taxes. HICL Infrastructure Company Limited managed to beat that. Over the same period, they posted profits of £944.9 million, but thanks to a credit agreement with tax authorities, the company actually paid no tax on their almost £1 billion profit. In the only game in town, we showed how North Ayrshire Council only ever had one credible and viable bid for its multi-million pound PPP contract, but insisted another bid provided genuine competition, even though the second bid came from a recently formed company with no accounts, no office, no experience in building skills, and which had lied in its bid submissions. We also revealed how a supposed police investigation in 2006 had actually lasted just 2 weeks, before being passed to the Crown Office Procurator Fiscal Service with a report stating the police could find no evidence of criminality. In this film, we have exposed the continuing cover-up and the establishment efforts to prevent a proper and thorough investigation into the North Ayrshire Council Schools PPP project. Now, you might question, why would North Ayrshire Council, Police Scotland, the Crown Office Procurator Fiscal Service and the Central Government Civil Service all collude in a cover-up about a project to build 4 schools? The answer to that question is simple. It isn't about 4 schools in North Ayrshire. If a proper and thorough investigation was carried out into what we have revealed about the North Ayrshire Council Schools PPP contract, the outcome would inevitably lead to questions being asked about every other PFI PPP contract in the UK, and if that were to happen, we are then talking about billions of pounds of taxpayers' money being directed into the bank accounts of organisations that largely offshore their profits to avoid paying tax.